So I have to get across very quickly the feeling of it. Obviously, I need to know every product. I need to understand it. I need to know the color, the name. I immediately show signs of wear. Need to do that very transparently. I just talk. I mean, you can leave me in a room on my own and I will talk for hours.
Hi, and welcome to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag industry expert and the handbag fairy godmother. Each week, we uncover the stories behind the handbags we love, from the iconic brands and top designers to the creativity, craftsmanship, and culture that define the handbag world. Whether you're a designer, collector, or simply passionate about handbags, this is your front row seat to it all. Welcome, Eevee Amory of Eevee's Pre-Loved. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Emily. And I've been very excited to be chatting with you as well.
Yes. And as you know, Americans love an accent. So you are not here. Where are you based, Eevee?
I'm based in London. So I'm actually in North London. And it's quite funny you say that because I love the American accent.
Oh, good God. Or God bless you. Or as the others say, bless your cotton socks. There you go. I had a fortuitous running with your husband, who's an absolute delight, who, whilst we were speaking, had brought up my wife's and handbags. And I said, well, then we need to know each other. I was so excited to learn that you are one of the key people now within the circular economy. Can you talk a little bit about what Eevee's Pre-Loved is and what it's about?
Yes, thank you. And that's very kind of you to say. So Eevee's Pre-Loved is a luxury consignment business. We specialize in pre-loved designer luxury bags from the likes of Burberry, Chanel, Fendi, 𝐾𝐚𝐬𝐧, Dior, Saint Laurent. I'm in handbag heaven, to be really honest. I absolutely love what I do. But importantly, for me, it's about sustainability. And I feel every bag has its own little journey. And once it's finished its journey with one person, why shouldn't it continue on with someone else?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Are you able, just because this is, not only to have a brand and a business on pre-loved high-end luxury bags, which is very difficult to do, you also need to become a trusted source from the people of which you get those bags. How did you develop this affinity and then build into this brand and then recognize that there was actually a full-on market? Because I suppose when you started, the desire and the constant need probably didn't exist the way it does now.
Well, I've always worked in fashion and I grew up in Brighton. So I don't know if you know Brighton.
I do.
It's a really cool, eclectic little place. And funnily enough, years and years ago, the very first shop that I came across, it was called Names, and it was near the Lanes, actually in Brighton. And we call it pre-loved, but then it was secondhand. And I always used to be curious walking past this shop. And I've got to be honest with you, it was not a la mode at that point to be buying. It wasn't to be buying other people's clothes and bags. And in a way, there was, unfortunately, I have to say, there was some type of snob value to that. You'd
100%.
Think, why would I be doing that? And is it going to be clean? And what's it going to be like? So I was always slightly curious about it. But bags I was always passionate about. And to come back to your question, how did I fall into this? Since 2012, I've been a television presenter, guest presenter at QVC. And if you know, and I'm sure you do, freelance work, you never know when you're going to be working. You literally can wake up in the morning and there'll be an email. Can you get in 2 hours time to do it? Or you might not hear anything for a couple of weeks. And in the end, I was going crazy thinking, I love what I do, but I need to have some type of control on what I'm doing myself. And I am a huge, I'd say, I have a curiosity to tarot. So there's somebody in particular that I listen to. I love him. He's based in the States. And he was always saying, you got to start a side hustle up. What's your side hustle? And then you can sort of leave your main job once your side hustle's working. So I thought, what can I do on the side that's not going to impact on the fact that I can be available in an hour's time if QVC need me? So I thought, right, I've got a following already because I've been a television presenter there for a fashion brand, and I had a nice sort of following on Facebook and Instagram. And I somehow put it out there that I was doing this. I'd had my own bags anyway that I'd been sourcing and collecting during the pandemic. And after the pandemic, I went off to a fantastic place called Goodwood Revival with my husband, had a little trestle table, literally a trestle table with a black velvet covering on it. And I sold all the bags there. And I thought, this is good. There must be a bit of a market here.
Did you know how to mark them up? Like, did you know how to price them?
Yes, I was doing my research and looking. And I also, was thinking, okay, what have I paid? What's the market value? What's realistic? But I have to say, at Goodwood Revival, the ladies were so delighted with this little selection, and the prices didn't seem to be an issue. So I think I'd actually really done the research okay, and they were being sold at the right price point. So after that, the little following that I had, I sort of put it out there, started to talk about what I was doing, word of mouth, literally, no advertising at that point. It was just me marketing myself. But then I love to talk, is probably your guess. So I chat anywhere. In fact, my kids hate going out with me because it can take quite a long time if I stop and I start to talk. I've always got a business card and I'll always talk about bags. So it's sort of
right.
From there, really. And obviously, Pre-Loved was really pushing itself up to the fore, sustainability, this whole desire to actually wear pieces that actually somebody didn't want anymore, and was going to be stopping that huge wave of waste. The waste
right.
factor is massive. So it was sort of this turn of event, and it just, sometimes when something is meant to be, you don't have to work too hard at it. I've had so many different times where I've knocked on the door, it won't open, and I've pushed and pushed and pushed and been really stubborn, and it still won't open. But with this, it flowed, and luckily it continues to flow.
Yeah. So, oh my God, this is so exciting. I could talk about this all day. I'm chatty too. I had my seat moved all through elementary school purely for being disruptive, where it says talk successively in class. So I'm here for it. So the first bags you had, you said were yours, right?
Yes.
So I have a pretty good idea just within the States how the Real works and other sites or enterprises like that. And the amount of people that they hire to connect with other people who would have those bags to sell, get rid of, offload, the whole thing. Like, that's a full-time job. They have those jobs posted all the time, and then an appraiser, and then especially like with entropy now to see about if the bags are real, and lawsuits that go with everybody now. How were you able, and clearly because it's you and you're already trusted and validated, how are you able to find more inventory? How did that work?
Every week I say to my husband, oh my gosh, what happens if nothing comes next week? But it just comes. Sometimes I think it's with the universe sort of looking down, and it's a case of luckily I've got a really loyal following. Buyers become sellers, sellers become buyers. Once you start to sell, it can be a little bit addictive. And then you think, oh my gosh, what else am I not using that I can get some more money for? People tell their friends. I have a television commercial as well. That fell out of nowhere. That was basically a client of mine. And I said, what do you do? And she said, oh, I actually do television commercials. And I was like,
where does it air?
It airs across different platforms, Sky. So different channels on Sky. So I did that last year, which was quite fun. I really, really do a lot on Instagram. So it's word of mouth. Our reviews are great. Thankfully, it keeps coming. And I'm just very grateful that it does. So every time I get new items, like I had a mulberry delivery this morning, and it's so exciting just to go through them all. So it's really a joy. I always find I've always said, actually, not find, you need to do something that you love, because for me, it's a 24/7 job. It's not a case of 9 to 5, but when you really do something, it becomes your life in a way. So it's not actual work. It's what I enjoy to do. Although I know I'm a little bit of a workaholic.
Oh, well, I think once you're a mom of multiples, that just becomes part of your day in and day out life. Like, I can't sit still, because once you sit still, your mind starts to think, I should be doing something else. What am I not doing? There's more things I can do. I think that's just by default how we are, by function. How long And how much inventory do you keep at a time? Like with your social following, hi, I've got this new bag. Here's what it is. I mean, because you're so seasoned on QVC going on Instagram, it's essentially your private channel. How were you able to start integrating in like, okay, now I have these bags. How do you go into the unique selling points of each one?
I have to say, I mean, I'm on stories all the time and I'm daily doing content. I think I've been trained, and I do think QVC are amazing at training.
Mm-hmm.
I speak to someone as if, in a way, they can't see it. So I have to get across very quickly the feeling of it. Obviously, I need to know every product. I need to understand it. I need to know the color, the name. I immediately show signs of wear. Need to do that very transparently. I just talk. I mean, you can leave me in a room on my own and I will talk for hours.
I see you. I get that.
It's lovely to talk and share about it. And maybe, I don't know, I just connect with them.
So, based on what's going on in the market, are you able to touch upon trends or see that, okay, everybody's trying to offload these bags, so clearly the interest is waning? How do you see trends and handle it? Or is it just product comes and you sell it? I know at this point you must be discerning.
It is a case of products come and then I sell it. The only way that I can say I'm discerning to how I was in the beginning is I really find that because the items are photographed for the website, they need to photograph well. So I'm now more discerning to the quality of the wear. I mean, obviously, Loved is lovely, but there can be more love in some pre-loved than others. And I'll also be very transparent to say to someone, if you are someone that minds marks or scuffs, don't buy it. Maybe pre-loved is not for you, or it could be a pre-loved bag that's been bought and left in its box and hasn't got any signs of wear. Then that's your pre.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But I'm definitely more discerning with the quality, and especially if there is discoloration, and I know that that's going to be a problem and, translate in a negative way on the website, I won't take certain things on now. And the only way I'll do something, and I've done it a few times, is not for the website. I call it a project bag. Sometimes a project bag that's an amazing Birkin, but it's really, it's had a lot of love. But some people don't mind that because they want to have the Birkin. So in that way, I might do a few project ones, which tend to be more for the Instagrams as opposed to on the website.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
If you ever wanted to start a handbag line and didn't know where to start, this is for you.
Living proof that independent designers can make it big.
Absolutely. Blumenthal is one prime example.
If you had dreams of becoming a handbag designer and didn't know where to start, this is for you. If you have a handbag brand and are in need of strategy and direction, this is for you. I'm Emily Blumenthal, handbag fairy godmother and handbag designer expert, and this is Handbag Designer 101, the masterclass. Over the next 10 classes, I will break down everything you need to know how to make, market, and manufacture a handbag. Broken down for you that you'll not only skip steps in that handbag building process, but also save money in that learning curve. For the past 20 years, I've been teaching at the top fashion universities in New York City, created the Handbag Awards, and also the Handbag Designer 101 podcast. I'm going to show you like I have countless brands from sketch to sample to shelf, whether you're just starting out and don't know where to begin, or even if you have a handbag line and just need some strategic direction, the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass is just for you. So let's get started, and you will be the creator of the next it bag. Join me, Emily Blumenthal, with the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass.
Have you seen trends in terms of which bags people, because I'm sure as a result of who you are, you must get requests like, oh, I'm searching for this, I'm searching for that, especially with all the tariffs and people saying that there will be and has already started to be a huge uptick in retail prices of, obviously, Chanel, forget it. Chanel's jumped like, I think, 200% in terms of prices. But Loewe right now is so hot. And all of these bags that, were really hot in the 2000s or the noughts are making a resurgence. Are you able to start pinpointing trends that you can actually see based on the bags that you're getting?
No, not too much. I mean, I think also I have a certain demographic. My customers demographic. I don't think the majority of them are too trend led. In that way, I'm not seeing, there's a certain trend as such. I know that there's always a demand for, let's say, the Fendi baguette bag. And I don't think that's a trend. I just think that's sort of a mainstay. That said, there could have been something with Sex and the City, whereby, that might have pinged up and for a week, that might have been the call-in. Right. The trend that's been like, suddenly that's out there on Instagram. The Balenciaga City bag was another one. Again, the 𝐿oewe basket bag for a little period of time. Those ones sort of, they come in, but they sort of go out. But the mainstays, the ones that are the mainstays, are the Birkins or the Kellys from Hermès, the Chanel medium double flat bag, the mini square. Those tend to come in and stay in. The Gucci Jackie bags, they had a bit of a rush on for a period of time as well. And actually, there could be something of a boom. Well, there is a boom at the minute with the Louis Vuitton Takashi Murakami collaboration, because obviously that was redone. So I have had a couple of I've got the multicolores in. They're a little bit of a, there's a little bit of demand there. So sometimes that trend might be captured if it's just on the back of a release of the same designers currently, right, versus when they first launched it.
Right. So, it's funny that you mentioned the Chanel flap. I worked closely with Bloomingdale's a number of years ago when we were partnering with them with the Handbag Awards. And one of the head of the fashion department, the DMM, had said to me, and this was at Rebecca Minkoff's peak, that she, referring to the customer with her first job, that she would spend her money on a Rebecca Minkoff morning after bag. And as soon as she had a salary bump, she would immediately go buy a Chanel flap. Yeah. That was what the trend was. And I just saw a clip, because obviously we are all targeted, that someone who was trying to see if they could justify spending $1,000 on a Chanel flap. And then it showed over the years that went from $1,500 to $2,500 to now it's $10,000 for something that, historically years back could have been within a price point range, but you just couldn't justify it. So it's so interesting about how this market is going.
I listened to something that you said, which I found fascinating on a podcast, and it was so true. I think you were talking to another Emily. And
to think about that.
And I think the question was about whether somebody would spend, say, $1,000 on a bag that's a designer that's not well known. Yep. Versus, I'm sure it was you, because I know I listened to this, versus, let's say, a pre-loved luxury designer bag. And
correct.
The way they do it. I see it myself. You've got that $1,000. What are you going to put it to? And pretty much it's going to be a pre-loved,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No, and this is something I've always expressed with independent, emerging, and within the category, essentially, of unknown brands or unknown designers. You may have a small, loyal following or brand awareness, but as soon as you mark up your bag at this point above $500, you run that risk of people saying, I'd much rather save my money for something pre-loved.
Yeah.
And that is just the reality that, unfortunately puts all of these designers in a challenging spot, because they don't have the orders to then be able to have economies of scale to price their bags accordingly. Therefore, if they want to have a markup or margin, it's got to be either razor thin or barely any if they want to even get into the retail space. It's almost impossible. I want to talk a little bit about, and I love that you brought this up, your customer. One of the biggest mistakes that so many designers and brands and people altogether, when starting a business, is thinking they know their customer. And again, the designers I've worked with, the students I've taught, everybody thinks they're aspiring to this fabulous metropolitan city girl who is just, having cocktails, living the big life. And she's just amazing. And I have had to educate and inspire and tell these designers, go back and look at where your sales come from. Look at the zip codes. We're zip codes here. And then go back and look at the socioeconomics of that particular area. And then see if that area has more than a Walmart, a church, a bar, and a school. And that people are essentially just buying it to make them feel good and to make them feel special, less so to be so impressive around, as the gal on the town. So how are you able to recognize who she, he, they are amongst your customer demographic?
So I feel where my USP is I have a very personal service that I offer. Effectively, you get me at the end of the call or the email. So on Instagram, I have grown a community of now over 25,000.
Amazing.
Thank you, with all of them. So I pretty much know them now. I mean, not all 25,000, but whoever's buying, I know them by name. I am a chatty person. I get to know them. So obviously through that, I can ascertain their age, their family, things like that. So I understand that she's similar to me and I'm in my mid-50s. So give or take 10 years, let's say, either way. So in essence, I feel I know pretty much that who the customer is. Interestingly, I look at other platforms and other people, and I think on my website, should I be having a younger lady? Should I be having, somebody who's in their 20s or 30s, or should it be me who is more of a mature lady? Because that's the customer. And I kept with me until I retire myself, because it felt a little bit more authentic. But equally, I've learnt to ask my audience, what do you like? Would you prefer to see somebody younger? What do you want? So I feel I know who she is based on my communication with her. And that might well alter. It might well alter, but I'm not on TikTok at the minute. Well, not hugely. So at the minute, my platform is Instagram, and then below Instagram, it's Facebook. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of who the customer is, but I continue to ask questions. What would you like to see? Would you like to see more of this or that? And I've seen that from other very, very successful designers, vendors who engage with their community, because that's how you learn what they want and who they are, most importantly.
My God. I mean, that's so textbook what is supposed to be done. We just touched upon scale. Do you think, for what you do, that it is a hindrance that essentially it is all you? And I know this personalized quality, that's amazing. I mean, because I respond to everything and people typically are like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. And I'm thinking, who else is it going to be? Do you think at some point for you to grow, or are you content with this personalized one-on-one?
I say it's all me, not just me. There's a team of 5 of us independently surrounding me, who look after different elements of the business, but I am the face of the business. Yes, it may well be a hindrance because in a way I've branded myself, which is a double-edged sword.
Isn't it?
I think I did that based on the fact that I'm, to a degree, I've had sort of, 13 years now at QVC. So people do trust in the fact that they know who I am. I'm not some stranger in the corner of somewhere with their beautiful bags.
Right.
There is a team behind me who have the administration element and the dispatches and all of that. But to front face, it is me. Yes, I know I'm going to have another me. Definitely. I couldn't cope with 2 of myself, but I do know
my God.
There needs to be another me, but I'm also trusting that organically it's going to happen with the right person. And it's taken a lot, because I am a control freak. It's taken a lot for me to release the things I can release in terms of the packing. And although I like to oversee that from a distance, but I have got a very patient young lady who works with me. So those elements I've managed to release, which is quite a big thing for a perfectionist Virgo. I'm guessing there. And sometimes I work with my lovely son, who did come into the business with me. He's my younger son. it was very challenging. And now we work from a distance.
Oh, that's the safest way. Real quick, before we wrap up, when you started this, and I'm assuming this is the case, did you, because personalization, the Eevee touch, did you put in thank you notes? Did you put in some sort of, email? Like, what was the final touch that you felt encapsulated this whole Eevee's loved experience of purchasing?
Everybody gets a handwritten note from me. Everybody. Whether they can read it is another thing. It's horrific. You can get some antibiotics off it, to be fair.
Oh my God.
Everybody has a handwritten note because I'm very old-fashioned in that I think it's really important. I love sending cards, and I wanted that to be a little bit of a standout point. So yes, I will, I'll send a little email if it's the first time because I like to hear the journey. That's also very important. Did you find me through Instagram or a commercial or where did you find me? But other than that, every single order, I'd say pretty much I hope every single order will have a little personalized card from me. And actually, I do have a really lovely little image of myself that was by an illustrator. So you'll see I'd like to say a younger version of myself who's a little slimmer.
I think you're fabulous. I don't think anything needs to be younger.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness. Eevee, this has been an absolute delight. How can people find you, follow you, and get their hands on an Eevee touched pre-loved bag?
Oh, thank you. I'd like to also point out, although we're based in UK, we ship everywhere. So we love to ship across the pond as well. So eeveespreloved.com, you can actually visit the website and see a lovely selection, but definitely follow me on Instagram at Eevees Preloved. We have ladies from the States, Australia, all across Europe. So you can find me there and join our community.
And I just want to preface, it's EVEY. That's Eevee. That's it because you're special. So this is fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us on every single platform at Handbag Designer. Thanks so much. See you next time.